I'd like to introduce Mr. Nassir Bolodai, President of the Balochstan People's Party, which seeks political, economic, and cultural rights for the Baloch of Iran. It advocates for a federal, secular, and democratic political system. It was established in September 2003, and its president is Nassir Bolodai. The Baloch are an Iranian people who live mainly in the southeastern region of the Iranian plateau in Pakistan, Iran, and Afghanistan, as well as neighboring regions, including those in India, and have a significant diaspora in the Arabian Peninsula. Thank you very much for being with us. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. I hope I will keep the time. And first of all, I would like to thank Ms. Rees for giving us this opportunity and organizing this conference, and Taimur for doing all the good works for us too. As was mentioned here, I'm representing Baloch people from Iran. What's happening in Balochstan in Iran, it's the same thing. Sometimes people would talk about the imperialism and colonization previously during the last centuries, but the thing is that when you come to post-colonial colonization and occupation, it's much more worse. We Baloch have experienced the British occupation, but what's happening now in Balochstan, in Iranian side, to some extent is much worse. And this is depend on the situation, because the Iranian government, the British didn't ask us to change our language, but Iran is trying to tell us to change our language, our religion, and they are colonizing Balochstan. One of their impact is that they are trying to build new cities in Balochstan. While in Balochstan itself, majority of people are unemployed, and majority of people do not have access to the basic right like water and everything else. But there are, of course, there are possibility to house more people in Balochstan. They said 5 more millions. They were trying to migrate people from other parts, particularly to the coastal region of Balochstan. And this was started during the Shah's time, but during the Rouhani, it has been extended. Another impact of the Baloch situation is the extrajudicial killings. We have many extrajudicial killings, actually happening daily. Sometimes you have 2 or 3 incidents happening weekly in Balochstan. Even the children, 2 or 3 years old children, are not the exception to that one. We have 2 or 3, I mentioned 2 names here. One of them was Hosna girl, about 3 years, and another one, family name was Rustai. He was about 2 years also. They were, Mortaza Rustai, they were killed. The people that are unemployed, many young people try to sell gasoline. Sometimes the Iranian security forces never arrest them. They try to kill them. And this has been mentioned by the Iranian security forces, that we have not come to Balochstan to arrest people. We have come here to kill them. And that's what's happening, unfortunately. In demonstration, also, Baloch people participated. Fortunately, there were not large amount of the killing there, but 2 people has been reported killed, and many people have been arrested. Balochstan was, of course, one of the last region in Iran which was connected to the internet. It was due to the tension in the region. And that was partly because of this arrest of the Molavi Kuhi. He was a sermon in a very small village. He questioned the Iranian government's right to kill protesters, because he said, well, you have in your constitution people have right to demonstrate. But then if people demonstrate, you go and kill them. And for that, he has been arrested, and nobody knows what's happening with him. And I here has to mention also other Baloch prisoners. As was mentioned, the people from the national minority region do not get same attention. What's happening in Tehran, always in the news. But we have, for instance, one Baloch has been arrested, Malek Saber Reisi. He was 15 years old at the time he was arrested. Now he's been in prison for about 10 years. Still he's in prison, and he's not about 20, 25 years old. Another one is Amanullah Baluchi, Abdullah Rahim Kui. They have been sentenced to death. And Nuruddin Kashani, Nasrullah Azrani, and Nurullah Ambarzei, and of course I mentioned Molavi Kui. What we want from Iranian government, as was mentioned, is a federal state. But that's the problem in Iran, because in Iran the government is not giving.
و دولت این حقوق نمیده به مردم، و بسیاری از اپوزیسیون های ایرانی هم همین وضع رو دارن و ما همین وضع رو داریم در ایران، و به خاطر همین دلیل هست که فکر میکنیم که ایران اگر هیچ دیالوگی بین اقلیت های قومی و اپوزیسیون نباشه با دولت ایران، باید مطمئن شیم که باید حتما یک آینده سکولار داشته باشیم برای ایران، برای هر دو طرف، هم برای اون مرکزی ها و برای اقلیت های قومی، و باید واقعا قدرت ها
to much more dire situation for Iran. That's why we think the international community, we have seen Iran is a kind of international situation because of its government and ideology. So we think the international community can help to make sure that there is a dialogue between different opposition groups in Iran, because many of them have their representative abroad, and at the same time to make sure that the Iranian people that are inside Iran get the opportunity to get, for instance, I don't know if practically it's possible to give people opportunity to avoid the Iranian internet. If there is a possibility, that would be very nice, because the Iranian government, whenever there is a demonstration, they would disconnect people from the internet. As was mentioned here, I think Ms. Shirin Nebadi mentioned, I think it's very important that the national community react to what's happening in Iran currently. And that would be one example, would be to call back their ambassador from Iran. This would put pressure on the Iranian government. And another practical thing that the European Union can do for Iran's situation is creating possibility for people to send their own messages, because sometimes it's very difficult for the people to connect to us as a political group. That will be seen as an internal security threat. If there is a website or another ways that people can tell about their situation in Iran, a human rights violation, there could be a database for the future use that people who violate human rights, they would think twice. And that's, thank you very much for my time. I hope I kept 5 minutes. Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you for naming the prisoners, because providing names of the prisoners really gives a human face to those who are not only in Tehran but on the outskirts, and also for the very concrete recommendation of recalling back EU ambassadors from Iran, which is a very concrete recommendation.